Blackburn George, is it April Fools or what, my friend? How is this a joke or a serious podcast? How are you doing?
I'm all right. How are you? Good morning and good morning, everybody.
This is a well, it's a very good morning. I'm alive and well, and so are you. Smiling from ear to ear. I see the little twinkle in your eye. So it's good to see that, George.
Well, I'm so happy that we've improved so much as a team over the international break. It seems we're unbeatable now.
Holding is scoring goals. Lacazette is scoring goals.
Oh, no, everything's fine. We're all chock full of internationals. Oh,
Yes, yes.
everything's hunky dory.
And even the exiled Saliba and Guendouzi are doing well.
Oh no! Don't mention the war. Jesus.
Yes. Well, Gooners, football fans, welcome to the weekend edition of the Positively Uncensored Arsenal podcast. And it's only George and myself. Apologies for Ehab, who, as you know, is a real refugee from Ukraine and is doing some stuff to get himself and his family situated elsewhere. So we have to take, the show continues. George, this week, well, actually on Monday, we play Crystal Palace. And I titled this podcast, as people can see at the banner running at the bottom of the screen, Opportunity Knocks, Arsenal at Palace. And obviously, I alluded to the fact that we could hopefully put some distance between us and Spurs and us and Manchester United. Is that how you see it? Just to set this up.
Well, looking at the fixture list, I think everybody will win.
Yes.
When I say everybody, I mean, I think Spurs and Manchester United will both win. And they'll play before us, so that'll close the gap. So there might be a bit of pressure on us come Monday to win, which won't be an easy task because Palace are not nobody's pushover. Vieira's got them playing on a different level to they used to, a different threat at least. So it could be an interesting game. But given that, again, I think we'll be able to turn out our best 11, with the possible exception of the Emperor. We should be okay. To at least give them a decent game. I mean, we'll probably start favourites, but it's going to be a pretty hard game, I would think. They've got some decent players on decent form.
Well, I hope the team is not overconfident, because although Crystal Palace is 12th in the tables, George, they are a much improved team over the team that Hodgson had last year. They are certainly set up to attack more. They certainly are more confident. They got some new players. Apparently, the fellow Olise from Nigeria is injured, so he might not play. And in his persevere, was concerned about that. But remember, George, in the first round at our place, they were 2-1 until Lacazette came out and got the last minute winner. So this is not an easy team that we're up against.
No, I think if you look back over the season, if you've watched them over the season, early on, they were in good position in several games and dropped a load of points that they could easily have won, and probably on the balance of play should have won. They could have a lot more points on the play than they have at the moment. Whereas I think we've maxed out, haven't we? We've got as many points as is reasonably possible that we could have got. Whereas they've thrown a lot. They threw a lot away early on, but they seem to have cut that out as well. I think now that the relegation's out the picture for them, they can probably relax and hold on to leads more than they could because there's not the pressure to get the odd point here and there. So it could be a very difficult game. Like you say, we only managed to draw at the death at our place, and we're playing at their place. So if anything, it should be a harder game for us than it was at the Emirates.
On the face of it. They are without Zaha. I've said Olise, but they are without Zaha, or at least Vieira had a concern about that because he didn't play for the Ivory Coast, and the Ivory Coast played in England, I think, and I don't pay a lot of I don't pay any attention, people, to these international friendlies, but he was out, and he was hoping that he has a foot injury, and he's hoping that he can return. And George, Zaha is still their big threat. Benteke has gotten a lot more games from what I observe, and I'm not pretending to be a Crystal Palace expert. The guy Edward, who was a threat against us, by the way, he seemed to have fallen off or is injured. But they as you say, they at least, George, the thing that struck me when you spoke is they at least had a draw with Manchester City 3-4 games ago. So they're not, they are
that was more a miracle than a result, though.
Yes.
I mean, they got a hiding. They got a proper hiding of Manchester City, and still come away with a draw, which can happen.
Yeah.
Because we've had some hidings and got away with a draw as well. So, I wouldn't read too much into the fact that they gave Manchester City a game, because they didn't really give them a game. They just managed to get a result. There is a difference.
Yes, getting a result and winning a game or having a good game. But just to be more objective, I mean, in their last 5 games, they won 2, draw 2, and lost 1. 7 goals for, 3 goals against.
Who did they lose to?
Who they lost to? You gotta. It was an answer. It's not to Southampton. I'm not sure, George. Give me. I'll get that for you in a second. We on the other hand had 8 goals for and 5 goals against, and obviously we had the one loss against Liverpool. I'm going to find out who they lost.
Yeah, but we don't count that.
We stopped counting that, right?
We don't count Liverpool. We don't count losses if we're playing Liverpool, Manchester City, or Chelsea. We don't count them. Our points totals are excluded. They're excluded from the table when we play them.
There you go.
I mean, it's so funny. I saw there was something going around Twitter the other day saying average points won since the 3rd game of the season.
Yes.
Well, fucking hell. We're just manipulating numbers now. I mean, why didn't you say average points won since the first 3 games of the season and excluding games with Liverpool? It's
By the way, George, they lost.
Play those games.
Yeah. You asked a question. By the way, they lost 1-0 to Chelsea, and I think that was a London derby and it was hyped up, and they were ready for that game if my memory serves me right. But Chelsea edged them, but Chelsea has had some problems recently, scoring goals, but especially after the political issues but they have been hanging in there. People have been surprised, but they've been hanging in there. Chelsea's another issue. I won't even go there for the moment. But yes, 1-0 to Chelsea. So in
that case, you don't count
that. George, when I say opportunity knocks, you make a good point. I mean, there could be, Manchester United and Spurs winning. Manchester United go against Leicester. Spurs go against Newcastle, which is not a gimme like it was a few weeks ago.
No, it's not.
Newcastle, yeah. Newcastle is playing well. Eddie Howe has them playing very well. But they could have they could put some pressure on us when they put those there. If they win, put 3 points on the board.
And didn't Newcastle lose to Southampton?
Newcastle has lost to all kind of strange teams, but they have also beat some strange teams.
I think the bubble got burst a little bit. I mean, they were on a real good run.
Yes.
Which had to come to an end. And having come to an end, it'll probably have ended until the end of the season. I'm not saying they won't win another game, but I don't think they'll be pulling out any surprise results between now and the end of the season. They'll probably lose to who they should lose to and win against who they should win against. We're not going to see them winning 5, 6, 7 in a row like they did to pull away from trouble. So I think who plays them?
Spurs.
I think Spurs will beat them then.
You think?
Spurs? I think Leicester. You say Leicester play Manchester United?
Leicester play Manchester. Leicester.
That's a more difficult game. I don't know whether Vardy's back or not, but that could be a more difficult game. But I mean, they're not pulling up trees either, so you probably expect Manchester United to win.
They have been erratic, inconsistent. I think injuries has something to do with it too. George, the question that goes to my mind, and I should go to the mind of the audience, we have about 13 more games to go, George. I think I counted them, maybe 13. It may be a little more or less. When does the pressure begin to tell?
Well, every time one of the opposition that we're fighting against win a game, it comes on. If you play after them, and even if you play before them, you've got pressure to win, to put pressure on them. I think the pressure's on already, but I don't think it's pressure that we can't cope with. Mikel Arteta seems to relish it, and the team's in good form. As long as we don't have any injuries, I'm quite confident that we'll be okay.
Well, speaking of injuries, George, he wasn't injured, but he had COVID. Saka.
He'll be back.
He'll be back. You only said the Emperor, but Arteta in his presser was doubtful about Ramsdale, but Leno is not.
Well, that's not a problem, is it?
Yeah.
Really,
Right, yeah.
You can. Personally, I would pick Ramsdale for his ball distribution.
Yes.
But keeping the ball out of the net, there's no drop in quality between Ramsdale and Leno.
Yes.
If anything, in fact, Leno's probably more secure between the sticks.
But you're committing sacrilege there, George. That's a sacrilegious statement for the Arsenal fans, the real gooners who have him set up to be the next behind Tierney as our next captain. You see, you're committing sacrilege there, George.
Well, that's me.
Sacrilegious.
I'm sorry,
but
he comes out flapping at balls, a bit like Flapiansky. Sometimes he threw one in last week, didn't he? Last time he played, he threw one in.
Last time he played, which we won
against Liverpool.
Right.
He got his positioning wrong and he threw it in as well. So, he's not faultless. He's a good keeper. I think he's great for the team because of his distribution, because of his kicking, because of his passing out, because of his confidence on the ball at his feet. We don't seem panicked at all. I'm not criticising him. I think he's a great addition to the team. Mm-hmm. But I don't think he's better between the sticks than Leno. In fact, I don't think he's quite as good.
You mean shot stopping and
shot stopping? Yeah.
Yeah. The other thing that I wanted you to comment on is the last time we did this game, we set this up as Arteta versus Vieira. Vieira wanting the job at Arsenal. And at the time, by the way, Arteta was under pressure. I mean, we weren't playing well, George. We did the stats last time. I mean, I spoke to the fact that we had a negative goal difference we weren't creating chances, in fact, in that game. And Arteta...
You don't count that either, mate. I'm sorry, but you can't go back and look at negative goal differences and all. Those times didn't exist.
There you
People
go.
airbrushed them out. Now everything is fine, and everything was planned, and everything is hunky-dory. You cannot go back and look at mistakes. It was not a mistake to lose Saliba. Just because he's one of the best prospects in Europe at centre-back, it doesn't matter if we lose him. That's not a mistake. Guendouzi being picked for France, that doesn't mean he's a good player. Anybody can get picked for France. It's not like our stars, Emile Smith-Rowe, Saka, and Tierney, who gets picked for Scotland. I mean, that's, it's only France. So you don't count, that's not a mistake letting him go. Aubameyang knocking goals in right, left and centre for Barcelona doesn't mean it wasn't being used very well at Arsenal. That wasn't a mistake. You cannot mention any mistakes, Shotta. Everything has got to be looked at through pink glasses. Everything has got to be rosy.
Well, and
those things did not happen. We've just magicked our criticism of Mikel Arteta in the past fell out the sky. There was never any justification for it. We made it all up. It was always the plan. Everything went well. There were no mistakes made. Mesut Ozil didn't kick a ball. We couldn't score a goal. We couldn't create a chance. It wasn't a mistake letting him go. It wasn't. Emile Smith-Rowe came in months later by accident. All of a sudden, we start improving because we clearly needed a creative player, but you still can't say it was a mistake leaving Mesut Ozil out. Mikel Arteta makes no mistakes. He's never made a mistake, and he never will make a mistake. He is a demigod. He is the best young manager in the world.
So Vieira doesn't stand a chance. By the way, George,
no chance. He's no chance.
George,
and it's I know I'm taking the piss, but it's almost like that. Everything now, where we are, we've got here a lot of times by accident, and good. I'm glad we're here, but you've not to mention that everything was a plan. Everything has gone well. Everything is hunky-dory. Everything was good. With no mistakes have been made. We've not lost 150, 200 million on player sales and wages. That doesn't count. It's irrelevant. Don't count that. Obviously, that was part of the plan. We wanted to lose 200 million pounds, for fuck's sake. We had too much money. Mikel had to get that money out the door.
Right. By the way, George, you're not. I mean, the other thing I hear is that he discovered, and he's the one who discovered and played Bukayo Saka and Emile Smith-Rowe.
And Martinelli.
Not,
yeah. I mean, Unai Emery's
not
been
Freddie.
completely
Freddie had nothing to do with them coming in.
Freddie.
Yeah.
It's all been Mikel, and he's developed them, and he's improved them. I mean, this must be the first time in football history that young players have improved.
There you go.
I mean, no other manager could make a 20-year-old improve between being 20 and 22. It's unheard of, Shotta. Absolutely unheard of. Mikel Arteta has created something wonderful. You don't you let me hear you fucking saying anything about Mikel Arteta.
No, the improvement of Saka and he's still 19, No, he didn't improve organically. It was all
no, well, he wouldn't have improved. He would not have improved under any other manager. No young players improve. It's not normal. It's not normal for young players to improve. Obviously, something happens somewhere that all of a sudden, when they get to 23 and 24, they become regulars in first teams. I can't understand what it is. It must be just some weird thing that happens. But it's not because of the natural aging process and development. Because at Arsenal, there is none of that. Every improvement is down to Mikel Arteta. And every time a player goes backwards, it's his fault. he signed a fucking contract that he shouldn't have signed, or he's gone on holiday when he shouldn't have gone on holiday, or he's stood on the wrong part of the pitch. It's always his fault, not Mikel. I'm not having you blame Mikel Arteta for that, for anything.
George, you're not far. I think you're not far from wrong. Yesterday, I was reading an article, and I wasn't even going to make this an issue, but you made the point. Well, you brought up something that struck me rather, because in an article was in Arsblog News, I'll call the name, online, that says that they have gotten Zapato as a kicking coach. He will train us to kick, new specialist. But then they quoted an Arsenal source, and it was Mikel is constantly on the lookout for ways he can improve the team, whether it is in the transfer market, man management, team bonding days, or additions to the coaching staff. He will explore every conceivable avenue. I was
no other manager in history has ever done that. That's all new stuff, isn't it? Imagine if Arsene had thought about that. I might try something like, I don't know, stats DNA. Or,
you mean
the first? Oh, no, nobody's ever thought of that. But joking apart, he's doing all right, isn't he? It's just that it's just so funny that all of a sudden he's a demigod. You know,
there you go. That is the word I have right now.
We've forgotten the shite we've watched for the last 2 years. It's been fucking some of the worst football in the history of the club. Certainly in living memory of most fans. But you've not to mention that because we're doing all right at the moment. And fair enough. I don't think we should keep harking back to it. And we wouldn't keep harking back to it if people wouldn't stuff his fucking brilliance down your throat.
And that is the point I'm making. I mean, I just made note of it because it was so outrageous in its the sycophancy of it. You know what I mean? And it was like a bunch of sycophants. But people are lapping this up, and it's guys, it's horrible. It's not. It's insane. It's not. Anyway, so this is we'll have to deal with that later, George. As you call, I said the deification, which is the same word as making him a demigod. No. George, I'm going to wrap this up. I think this game is potentially closer than it seems. They are 12th and we are 4th. Don't you think? Is it a potential banana skin? Just bluntly asking you.
Oh, absolutely. It's a lot closer than it might look on paper.
Mm-hmm.
They're a decent team, and they could easily be well into the top half if they haven't been so unfortunate with results. But that aside, let's look at Arsenal. I think we're in a good position. I think we're playing all the right players at the right time, in the right places, in the right positions, and they're all playing fairly decent stuff. There isn't a player that you can look at and say they're out of form, and some of them are in very good form, like Xhaka, Partey.
So keep it up, guys. Keep subscribing. But as George is saying, George kind of point, sarcasm a while ago. Common sense is not quite common at Arsenal, and when you try to be, to express a point of view that doesn't go to the extremes, it doesn't seem to ring well. Maybe, George, we're not entertaining enough.
That's not juggling, maybe. Firing.
Yeah, we don't. I was, or we don't hype transfers enough. I was seeing an article talking about Arteta's presser, by the way, George. And they just had to put in a transfer thing in there with Carragher telling Arteta who he must buy and all. And I was like, this has nothing to do with the presser. What was the mirror? And I said, that's what sells. Shotta, you're a waste. You don't understand the secret to getting, people.
You You need to get on Championship Manager or FIFA 22 or whatever it is, Shotta.
Yes.
Or else you'll never have any credibility as a fucking podcaster.
Right. Well,
right. Let's wind it up.
Yes, George, until after the game, fans, like and subscribe as usual. Give us a reference. Tell people, hopefully we'll see your comments as well. Thank you very much, George.
Bye, everybody.
Bye. Until post game. Bye.